Yeah. 'Cause I don't like Joe. That's why I try and avoid him.
Yeah. And the gang's now back together now. Ryan has to put up with me. So sorry about that.
Yeah. He just didn't take it very well. I love Joe, really. It's fine.
Yeah, well, we'll take it one step at a time, Ryan. It's all right. It's fine. It's all good.
Oh,
We'll have a
okay.
chat
So
afterwards.
he's fighting back.
We'll
He's
have a
fighting
chat,
back.
chat afterwards. It's all right. We'll have a little sneaky chat afterwards.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
what I like. Here you go. A bit of tension on the nation. Right. So we're not really talked about who's up. I presume Ryan's come empty-handed with no topic whatsoever.
You know me. You know
Ryan,
me
come
well.
on, you meant to be like you've been off for a couple of weeks. You come with a basket full of stuff.
And for
Yeah.
the behind the scene, we are stacking. So we're recording a couple today. So I think I should do one and you should do one, Joe. Who goes first?
I don't mind going. Oh, I don't know. Can I do this though? Because have you watched what I asked you to
No.
watch?
What in the last 24 hours while planning to go on holiday for 2 weeks? No, I have not watched it.
Oh, could have. Oh.
You asked us to watch a video.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, did you have an idea that we just watch it and then you do a preempt and then we do
Yeah,
an
didn't you
afterwatch?
say, aren't you going to talk us through it and say what you think and then we'll watch it and we'll do a second
Is that a
show
good
where we
idea
can
though?
brief?
Because then that influences your view, right?
That's fine.
Anyway.
That's good. Let's go with it. You lead us through this and then we'll do a follow-up show later. Nation, you can see we've planned this out well. It is like clockwork.
Well, you throw me now because I wasn't sure. Anyway,
Do you want me to go
I could do
first?
I could
Why
go
don't
with the
you-
regrets.
Why
I
doesn't
could
Lee go? Why doesn't Lee go first, and then you watch the video, or we watch the video in between, and then you do
Oh,
Joe's?
no. It's like an hour-long video. It's not a 2-minute thing.
Oh, 100% not watching that.
Let me do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this.
All right.
Okay. So.
Everyone's left now. No one's listening, so let's carry on anyway, though.
Yes. So yeah, it's all your fault, Lee. Right. So what we're going to do is we talk about the 5 regrets that are dying. We did regret one. So if you're watching, we did regret one, and that was I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself. So regret 2 of the dying is I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So that's regret 2. So I can give you a bit of a story on this because I know when I joined a company when I was early in my career, I worked long hours. I worked at the weekend, and I was working so much it was crazy. I really enjoyed it because I wanted to get far. You want to get your career wants to be launching and stuff like that. But when I look back on that that time, we were a startup. It was really hard, and because I think startups are really hard because you've got to put a lot of effort in, get traction. You've got a lot of work on. Anyway, cut a long story short, I worked weekends, worked long hours. It was before I met Lee, and it was crazy, absolutely crazy. And the problem what I found was where I was working, it was a startup. It was a startup, but what I was doing, the reason I was working so hard was obviously to keep up with stuff, but really I was disguising the real need for resources as well. So there were 2 things. It wasn't great for me, though I did want to get further. So it still probably was good for me because there was a good thing about you work hard, you want to get on. But it's the other end of the coin that, it's not good for you because you sacrifice a lot of things like, you got your family, relationships and stuff like that. So did I sacrifice? I mean, they probably did suffer a little bit because I'd spend a lot of time. But at the same time, I do look back at that and think, oh, should I have done that? So I think that's the question. So have you got any regrets around that, working too hard? And definitely for now, what about you? What do you think around that?
Bill Gates did something about this week.
Ooh,
I think
topical.
he said he wished he hadn't worked so hard in his life.
What did he actually say? What was the?
I only saw a tagline. I didn't see an article. I think
wow.
he said he worked too much throughout his life when he was younger. I mean, I'll get myself out of the way. I don't really have much because I don't feel like I'm old enough to have worked my life away.
All these kids today.
But I've always been aware of having a work-life balance. And we've spoken before about, compartmentalization and things like that. And I feel like I do that quite well. So I feel like I can work hard at work, but not have it affect me. Excuse me, but you don't know if it's going to affect you until it affects you, right? So
Very
I can
true.
say to you now I'm fine, but in 10 years' time, I could be, completely disheveled and a shell of the man I am today. So right now, it feels like it's okay. But as long as I think I'm alive to that and conscious of that, then it's something that I can try and Prevent, probably the word I'd use.
This is why I want to bring this forward, because, if people are saying this when they're on their deathbed, we need to be looking at this right now. And actually, it'd be nice to have had these at your age, Ryan. Your young, tender age.
Slightly creepy.
I'm only getting older.
Yeah, but you're young, and the thing is that whole thing that age as well. When are we the right age? Rather, we're too young, we're too old. We're never the right age, right? We're never the right bloody age, right?
Joe,
We are the right age.
Jose, just quickly, please never refer to Ryan as tender again.
Why not?
Because he's just
Tender Ryan. Tender.
It even makes me feel weird.
I like it now, actually. Carry on.
Too much. You had so much exposure to it. Now you like it anyway. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think this is really why I think it's really important, this subject, is because through looking through the lens of death, essentially, what are the things you want to focus on? So I've always focused on the things that you want to achieve, right? So what is it? Being really super clear on that and diving into that. So, when these people work hard, what we're talking about, we work hard at what we love, or we're just working hard at work that we may not don't love, but we're just working hard because we want to get on or climb that ladder. Is it the right ladder? So I'm really super clear now what I want to achieve in my life, but it's actually come a lot later. And I was saying, even last week, or was it the week before last, because we got a recording, but was that I sometimes wish I'd had that knowledge now so I could do it, but then I had to go through those things to get to the thing that I wanted to get to, which is a really weird thing, because you think you have to go through these bad experiences to get to the place where you think, I really do love this, actually. This is the thing I really love. So, yeah, I think there's definitely something in it, and I don't want to look back on my deathbed and go, I wish I hadn't worked so hard, because I want to invest enough time in my relationships and the people that I'm with and the people that I love. And that work isn't the most important thing. It's things that you're passionate about, the people that you love, the people that are close to you, making sure we invest in those relationships that are really, really important to me. So I don't want to be going, hey, to my beloved or my children, I'm not going to be with you because I'm going to work. And I don't know, I wonder what that Bill Gates thing is, actually, because that'd be interesting to know, actually, Ryan. But yeah, that was a really good call. And I think actually going for age, Ryan, I don't think you can be any age. You can be any age and go crazy on your work. But this is why we should get it now. We should be looking at this right now so we can make those good decisions for us right now. Yeah, I like that, Ryan. Lee, or Ryan?
I'm trying to find it, actually.
While you're looking that up, Ryan, I've got a view here, Joe, but I also want to question you with it, because I think you talked about having an experience where you're looking back and thinking you did do that too much. So this is a work-life balance thing. So what ideally does that look like to you? What was wrong, and what should it have looked like?
It's a really good question, actually. So what was wrong? Sorry, what was it again? Can you repeat the question for me?
So what you're saying that you work too much.
Yeah.
So what is so that's the problem. So really, if we're giving advice and wisdom to the world, what should that look like? How do you not work too much?
It's a really good question, because at that time I really did want to get on.
So this leads in.
However,
okay, you go for your bit first, and then I'll give you the
however,
lead in.
I did want to get on, but at the same time, there were sacrifices that I made that I think I lost things, like, not that I lost a lot, but I think I could have had, maybe more fun times with my beloved, I suppose. But would I be here right now had I not done that? Those are all the questions you could never answer. What should it look like? It should really be that you should work hard when it actually does make a big difference. I don't think even me working hard, I think I got to the point of working so hard that it actually wasn't making a difference. And actually I was covering things up. For me, working hard, it covered up the things that needed to be addressed, and they weren't being addressed. So to get it right, you do have to work hard, but you also need to be able to raise the things that need to be raised to make sure that wherever you're working, whoever you work yourself, whoever knows what needs to be addressed to make it more effective and efficient.
Yes.
Because it wasn't efficient. It definitely was not efficient. It was just get into there. And actually after I think I was inefficient because I worked so hard. It actually there was diminishing returns. And that's, I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. And it opened a lot of good doors there, because I think there's this, it's too blunt a statement just to say I regret working too much, because there are layers and layers and layers to this. And I won't dive down. I'll dive down the one I wanted to, but we'll touch on some others, because this is almost like give us a whole load of other topics to talk about. And one thing he talks about there's a massive difference between being busy and being efficient. Huge
Productive.
difference. Huge difference between those two things. And actually, there's a challenge in there of, you know, did you work too much? I'm not saying you as a generalism. Did you work too much, or did you just do the wrong things while you were working? Is time the problem, or is it something else? And where this leads me to is, you know, like you were talking about, is it, you know, you just make sure, I use time tradition analogies on this, but are you doing your 7 hours a day and making sure that's what you do and you get it done, and then you focus on outside time, and that is every day, or is it bigger than that? Is there a bigger picture here? So I same as you, Joe, I had a period of my life where I worked significant hours, and during all of that, I bet there was a huge time where I probably was busy rather than productive, but I learned to become more productive. And, you know, there's all the layers to all of that. But there was a period of my life where I worked significant volumes of time because I wanted to get on. Now, I believe those things enabled me to get on, and are why I have the setup in my life I have right now. And I also believe that if I didn't put in the time when I did, and again, you can go back and argue and say, well, could I have done it with 80% of what I did instead of 100%, or blah, 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 blah. But if I wasn't prepared to invest the time, and we talked about this before, time being a currency, and I chose to invest my time to get to a point, I don't think I would be where I am now. And without going into all the details, parts of where I am now, both from a time and a financial perspective, allow me to do things that allow me to enjoy my time in a certain way that I don't think I'd have been able to do if I hadn't have made that investment in time to get where I am, if that makes sense. So actually, is it, I wish I hadn't have worked so much each day, or do you need to look at it as a whole? Because what I wouldn't, if I'd have worked at the pace I was working up until I'm 65, that'd be crazy, because where's the reward off the back of it? You just do it through. But if it's to lead you to pace, it's like a sliding scale. So is there times when your currency of time is more in one area, and you do, like you said, Joe, make sacrifices, but it's for an end result? Because I don't think you do. You have to make sacrifices at a certain point to get, and not just time to get in work, in life, in everything's a choice. You only have so many hours, and you choose where to spend it, and something has to give. But I think it's a sliding scale, and I just think it's dangerous to have the blunt message of, I wish I hadn't worked so much, because is that, you know, do I wish I'd have started scaling back at 30 or 40 or 50 rather than getting to 60, or genuinely, did I do it and it was all for nothing and I wish I'd spent more time? There's so many different interpretations of that message, and I think it's different for everyone, because
sorry, just going to say quickly, in the book it does say these, you know, some of these people are working up until, like you said, like later life, like they were literally committed to work, so they actually struggled. The struggle for them was actually to let go of work, like they wanted to work because actually that, but then they regretted the relationships with their children, their spouses, because actually what happens, they didn't get to know them, and then they passed on that sort of thing to their children, and then the relationship suffered because of the expectations.
And that's it. Is the sacrifice too great for the reward?
Yeah, so it is a very personal choice. Go on, Ryan's going to say.
It's so easy retrospectively to say you work too hard or you work too much. So easy to say, because you're always going to look back. If the decision is right at the time you make it, then is it wrong later? If at the time, based on what's presented to you, you make a decision to work hard or play hard, right? We'll use that as the analogy. And the decision you come to is that working hard is the right way to go. Then 20 years down the line, when hindsight's 2020, of course you might change your view on that. But you can only be judged based on the decisions that you make at the time you make them. If a lot of people would change the way they live their life. So it's a very, very broad and easy statement to say. And I agree with you. There are so many layers to it that I think it's just a much deeper question than are we working too much or too hard as people? Because again, if it feels right now, then it's right to do now. You can't, I can't sit here at 27, 28 and be like, cool, in 30 years' time, am I going to regret working so hard at this? Because the answer right now is obviously no, because I have goals and aims I want to achieve by the time I'm 30 years older than where I am now. And I'm not going to get there by taking my foot 20% off of the pedal. I'm going to get there by keeping my foot where I am, if not pressing harder to make sure I get there. It's very easy to say, I wish I'd had more leisure time. I wish I'd spent more leisure time in my life. And it's completely understandable why people would say that. But it's, in my view, maybe a little short-sighted based on a small parameter of things. Maybe a little, but that's my young person view. Maybe when I'm your age, I might look at that as a completely bigger spectrum. But right now, it's, I have goals and aims. I want to be able to buy a house. I want to be able to go on holiday 2-3 times a year, you know, whatever. I want to be able to start a family comfortably. I want to be able to not have to stress around money. I want to be able to achieve what I want in my career. And right now, the way I achieve those things is by working hard. In 30 years' time, I might say, cool, that holiday we had to Antigua was terrible. I shouldn't really have worked that hard for 6 months. But it's so easy to say in retrospect, right? It's so easy to say in hindsight.
Yeah.
But again, my view on that might change when I'm at your age.
Yeah, and I think the whole point of this is that I think we should encourage people to look through the lens. If you are, you know, if you were, just imagine yourself on your deathbed, like fast forward your life like to the end and go. Actually, it's something I do encourage. Who did I talk to the other day?
I think
it's one of my children. I say, if you're going to regret something, fast forward to the end of your life and go, would I regret that?
See, now I don't think I would, because
well, there you go. Well, that's fine. That's good.
It's the right decision now.
Well, that's a good, yeah.
I can't hate myself or be annoyed at myself for a decision I make 30 years ago if I think 30 years ago it's the right decision.
Yeah, and I think as long as we're looking through that lens, I think that's the right decision, right?
Yeah.
You should not regret it. If you're not going to regret it, I think that's a really good test.
Yeah, and I think that's. Oh, sorry, go on, Rob.
I found that Bill Gates article when you're ready.
Oh yeah, I'll just say on that, and then we go to the article. And it's just, I suppose, to say, and it might be the way I interpreted the message as well, Joe. But I think it's, for some people, like I said, that there are layers, and that regret may be there. I just think it's something that exists. You know, there's often you can't get it right. If you don't work enough, you get judged. If you work too much, you get judged. If you do this sort of job, you get judged. If you don't, whatever. And it's, I guess,
get away from the judgment, Luke.
But that's it. That's what I mean. It's the importance of people being comfortable with where that position sits, and I think it's far more what you got out of the time you spent, or more what you didn't get out of the time you spent, that you probably regret than the time.
Yeah, that's why I think that lens is a good lens.
There are certain decisions humans make or we make in our lives where we instantly regret the decision we make. And then there'll be decisions we make where we regret them at a medium length time. There'll be decisions we make that we regret at a long period of time. If you spend your life worrying about what you're going to regret down the line, then you're not really going to live your life at all.
There's that regret I have from offering out to start a podcast with this guy called Jose once upon a time. That's a strong one. That was instant regret.
Just fast forward your life, and make the decision. Yeah, look through the. And
then I regret Lee talking me into helping run the podcast. No, I'm joking.
But here we are. We're slogging through.
So we'll have a debrief after. Don't worry, TikTok. We'll have a chat with these guys after. I'll pull them into line. Don't you worry.
So this Bill Gates article, a lot of it's paraphrased, but I'll just read it at you. Bill Gates said that he didn't realise until he got older and became a father that there is more to life than work. He's quoted as saying, "When I was your age, I didn't believe in holidays." He used the word vacations, but I refuse to do that. Gates told graduates of Northern Arizona University in a commencement speech on Saturday, "I didn't believe in weekends. I pushed everyone around me to work very long hours." The billionaire, who dropped out of Harvard University after 3 semesters to launch Microsoft, told graduates, "You are not a slacker if you cut yourself some slack." He goes on to say, "Don't wait as long as I did to learn this lesson. Take time to nurture your relationships, to celebrate your successes, and to recover from your losses. Take a break when you need to, and take it easy on the people around you when they need it as well." In the past, Gates has acknowledged that he had high expectations when it came to employees' work ethic. He would send critical flame mails in the middle of the night. "When I was at Microsoft, I was tough on people I worked with. Some of it helped us be successful, but I'm sure some of it was over the top. You probably feel a lot of pressure right now to make the right decisions about your career," he told graduates. It might feel like these decisions are permanent. They are not. What you do tomorrow or for the next 10 years does not have to be what you do forever. You are graduating at a time of immense opportunity to help people. New industries and companies are emerging every day that will allow you to make a living by making a difference. And advances in science and technology have made it easier than ever to make a big impact.
I really love that. I don't know. I just love all that. It's inspiring to me.
I think,
love it.
yeah, I think there's some great advice in there. Obviously, as an employer, there's some real red flags going on with some of the stuff he said as well, but from a different time.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the whole thing with the employer, you inspire people, right? Because you want to work for a company who's doing good things, right?
Yeah, not the one who sends you hate mail at midnight.
Anyway, carry on, Lee. I interrupted you. Sorry,
not the one who sends you hate mail at midnight. That's probably more of a concern. But don't get me wrong. There's some great advice in there. You know, we've talked about this a lot about mindfulness and work-life balance, and you know, making sure you're doing things that fulfil you more than anything else, and that's a big, strong part of the message. Similarly, I know this will be a bit critical, but I think it's very easy for the billionaire, once he's become a billionaire, to tell people, take it easy, there's more to life.
This is what I mean. Even you know, Joe's not a billionaire, but even at Joe's perspective of life, it's very easy to retrospectively say I worked too hard, or I should have done this, or I should have done that, because you're looking at it with rose-tinted glasses, and with hindsight being your best friend. And at the time you made these decisions, Joe, and at the time I make these decisions, I don't have the benefit of being able to look back and saying, "Oh, I wish I'd done this differently." Life's not as simple as that.
Yeah, and this is why I think, you know, this is why these are really good conversations, right? Because it makes us think about these things, irrespective of what we think is right, wrong, doesn't really matter. Like you said, Ryan, it's absolutely right. It's a real personal choice. And I think if we can use these tools and things to look at it in that way, we are critically thinking about what we're doing, and not just, you know, which I wouldn't be having this conversation when I was doing that. I didn't really think, oh, I'll work hard. I just wanted to achieve these things, and it'd be like an auto. Yeah. It's not like I considered it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about, oh, fast forward my life to the end of life, would I regret it? I didn't think. I was just like, I'm going. Like,
yeah.
There's no thought about it. It was almost like I was used to work hard, right? It was like, it wasn't even I don't think it was even a decision. It was naturally something I thought I had to do.
Yeah, I don't go to work now thinking, cool, I'm going to work really hard today. I go to work now thinking I need to achieve X, Y, Z. And then over a month period, I say I need to achieve A, B, C. And then, you know, when these things fall into place, new things come along or new challenges come along, and I work at them. I don't think many people, if at all any people, sit there and say I'm going to work really hard today so that when I'm in my mid-60s, I can take my foot off the gas and, you know, achieve and feel like I've achieved things in life. You just do what you live in. Well, at least I definitely try and live in the moment as much as I can, and hope that future me is satisfied with the decisions I made.
Yeah, I love that, because, you know, I think, you know, if we can have that conscious thought right now, I think is a good thing. Like we're considering it. I think that's a really good. And this discussion is what we're saying to our audience: you know, consider it. Just have a think about it. The other thing I was going to say about Simon Scribb, wasn't it? Because he's a multimillionaire. He sold his company Fluid for multi-million pounds. We interviewed him on the podcast. But even him, he's like, not that he's never said he regretted it, but he says it's hard to set up a business, but once you set it up and it's running, he said it gets easier over time.
And that's where that effort of time comes in, you know, seeing and the reward's different for different people. When I say reward, people go to money, but that's not necessarily it. It's, you know, do you want to build something? Do you want to achieve something? Do you want to leave this legacy behind? Do you want to be able to do this experience? There's so many different things that drive, and it's different for everyone. And I think it's just that it all does come back to the time you put in, but are you going to get out of it what's needed? And it needs different levels of effort at different times. Yeah,
and I think for me on this as well is that I think we've got to be clear on the goals we want to achieve, what is important to us right now. So is it, you know, also look at, you know, what, in your whole life, what are your relationships like at the moment? Do you need to work hard at those, right? That could be a different type of work, right? But you may work in half in different areas. So I think it's really being clear on your goals and what you want to achieve, and what's the price you're willing to pay. You know, what is that price? And then, let's say, fast forward to the end of, you know, imagine you're at the end of your life. I mean, it could happen. Well, we know that life can end just like that. I mean, I might not be here tomorrow, who knows? But it's important. Like, I think, Ryan, like you said, like living in the moment, being aware of these things is really, really critical, but being super clear on where you want to be, because that will drive the actions. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So thank you, guys. Yeah, I love that. Anything else from you guys on this?
This has been, and I always enjoy these, but this has been one of my favourite topics in a while. This is a really good, thought-provoking one.
And it's because I'm back.
Ironically, Ryan's here and it's still a good podcast, which, you know, as we said last week, Joe, we didn't think would be the case.
Well, you know, Ryan's added the third dimension, 3 dimensions, in a multiverse.
A dimension of somebody that's still in their 20s.
Oh,
I love
those
it.
were the days.
I love it. I don't remember the 20s. It's so long ago.
No,
It's
you
such a long time.
remember the 20s.
Yeah,
We're in the B20.
No, the Joe's 20s were the 1920s.
Oh, okay.
yeah, Lee's attempt at jokes.
When
That's
you-
great.
Burnt by Joe. What's going on? This is a strange world. Right,
Because Ryan's back, he's inspiring me.
we're trailing off. We'll do some
Go on,
wrapping
yeah, we
up.
better get
Everyone,
back on it.
we appreciate everyone out there in the nation, wherever you are listening to us. Please hit subscribe, leave a review, hit that 5-star button. It all helps us in those algorithms. Tell people to listen to us. Just give us a go, see if they like it. And of course, YouTube and TikTok, Jose Noya-Inspiration Nation. Hit subscribe. You can watch us live each and every week. In fact, today we are doing a double header. So we are recording now, and we will be recording straight after this as well. And you can get 2 shows for the price of 1. Fantastic
Can I
stuff.
just say something? So it's when we laugh on TikTok. Can I just say it? I don't know. It's T. Thank you, T, for it. It says, what price are you willing to pay, Mr. Jose? And one other thing I wanted to do, because we haven't done it for a while actually. I think we've forgotten it off the format. What's our big takeaways from the conversation then today?
Just make sure you make the right decision now. If this decision is right for you now, then you can't be annoyed at yourself in the future for making it.
Treat your time like money. And you don't have to save it. You can spend it, but spend it wisely.
Yeah, you never get it back, right? That's the thing. You can never get it back. That's the problem with time, isn't it? Mine is just look through the lens. Imagine you are on your deathbed, and then look at your time through that lens. That's what I would do. There you go. That's my big takeaway. I do try and do that. But
interrupted my shilling, but you know you're just taking over. Like
oh, did I? Sorry, I thought you finished the shilling.
No,
do you want to end your shilling then?
No, I'm done now. I'm done. Forget it. You don't even know what I do anymore. Look at him.
Oh,
Twitter, we are at Listen to IN, Listen TOIN, and of course go to www.in. It's because I've seen lots of videos talking about it's actually quicker to say World Wide Web than www.
Is it?
In my head.
Is that all? That's interesting. I never thought of that.
It's like we're back in the mid-90s.
If you put into your web browser https://www.inspirationnation, all one word, .org.uk. Well, those were all things people used to say when it first came out about the internet. All one word.
I listened to Radio 1, and they quite often, not often, but sometimes play a clip of Pete Tong in 1994 reading out their website, and it's about a 45-second clip of him reading this website.
That is how it was, Ryan. You never had to live through that. But yeah, inspirationnation.org.uk, shop, merchandise, all that good stuff. See what you do. If you just keep going, Joe just backs off again before trying to butt in. He's had too much coffee.
It's decaf, by the way. But yeah, I'll tell me what I was going to say. Go on, Ryan. Go on, you butt in now. Go on.
Needs to be more. Needs to be more decaf.
100%.
Yeah,
on that
note,
note, I'm going to count us down. We'll be back again next week. Unless you're watching us live, we'll be back again in 5 minutes.
Oh yeah. Go on.
3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation.
Inspiration Nation.
Catch you guys later.
Recording stopped.
Right, see you in a minute, TikTok.